Welcome to the MVP Show. Today we're chatting with Leon Tribe, straight from Sydney, Australia. Leon's blog, that CRM blog, is one of the top CRM blogs in the world, as recognized by Feedspot.com and Dynamics101.com. He's also one of the prominent Dynamics 365 consultants in Australia today. Full show notes for this episode can be found at nz365guy.com/151. Now let's get on with the show. Hey Leon, welcome to the MVP Show.
Thank you very much, Mark. Great to be here.
Mate, good to have you on and catch up with what's going on down in Australia, being that, I'm only days away from moving back to New Zealand, the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah. I heard you're heading back there. I think Eliza's heading that way too. She's already there.
Yeah, I think she's already there. I mean, for me, it's 7 years since I've lived in New Zealand, so it's going to be interesting moving home. Very interesting.
Where,
so anyhow, tell us... What was that?
I was going to say, whereabouts are you going? Is North Island, South Island?
Auckland.
Auckland, fantastic part of the world.
Yeah, my wife has got a job there. So, being that I'm a kept man, I just tag along for the ride. So,
half you like.
It's a perfect setup. So tell me about you, what's going on in your world at the moment?
So I'm a little bit over 12 months in a job with a company called Power Objects, reasonably well known in the US. Got Partner of the Year a few times.
In the UK.
And reasonably well known in the UK. And they came to Australia probably about 18 months, 2 years ago. And so I'm delivery director there, sort of making sure the projects don't go completely off the rails and building up the team. It's a bit of a different course for me. Like before, I've been sort of more of a solution architect, functional consultancy type person. So stretching a few different muscles, ones which probably needed a good stretch actually. So I'm enjoying it a lot. It's good fun.
Nice. So tell me a bit about where you live and play when you're not at work.
The city I live in, Sydney, Australia. I live just off the harbour of the city on what's called the Lower North Shore, just on the north side of the harbour. And when I'm not working, I'm hanging out with my wife, Mary Jane, and my two kids.
What type of things do you get up to with your kids?
We go to the odd comic convention. So we did that a few weeks ago. So did the whole cosplay dress up. That was good fun. Otherwise, a bit of gardening. So I've been doing a bit of that lately, just getting ready for summer. A bit of bike riding, that happens occasionally.
And what about the cocktails? I know you're a bit of a cocktail connoisseur, and you got your own ones that you make at home. What's your favourite?
I don't do that with the kids too often.
No, not with the kids, of course. No, I'd expect not.
I'm about to make a batch of limoncello, which I remember. I think I brought some along to MVP Summit. I think it was last year. And today I'm making another batch because I'm off to New York for Christmas. My wife's got some family in Hawaii and New York, so we're going to be catching up with them. So I'm making a batch to give a few hangovers to my in-laws, which will be good fun. And I need to drink more cocktails. The cabinet's a bit overfull at the moment. I've got a few bottles sitting on the top of the bar. It's a good problem to have, though.
Yeah. So before I left New Zealand, I used to have a massive top shelf, and then you can't. Most of the stuff's not portable. So I gave it to family and friends, but I tell you what, we're going to be grabbing our maximum allocation when we re-enter New Zealand.
From memory, they're pretty generous.
To start stocking up. Yeah, it is. It's very generous in New Zealand, and it's the cheapest way to buy alcohol coming into the country if you want to, avoid all the additional taxes and stuff. So, yeah, definitely. Now, just on the limoncello front, one of the things I enjoy about Spain is that, after you have a nice meal, often at the end of the meal, if you've created good rapport, this is maybe more in France actually, but definitely in Spain. I was just in Mallorca recently, and they bring out the bottle of liqueur of some sort, and particularly I noticed in France it was often limoncello of some sort, and so tell us a bit about what goes into your limoncello that you're making.
It's pretty simple. So you get some lemons, and you take the rind off. And then you've got to steep it in the most potent alcohol you can find. So I get Polish Spirit. Is
it like a vodka?
It's like a vodka, but it's 95%. ABV, so alcohol by volume. So it's almost pure ethanol. It's very hard to buy on the high street.
Yeah, so
Basically, you need a
you get it
very
on the black market then?
I get it off eBay, so you can buy it online, and
Yeah.
it's legit. But in Australia, because Australia loves its legislation, you need a special license in order to sell alcohol at that volume, at that level of alcohol. So I buy it online from an Australian retailer, and so you steep your lemon rind in that, and that takes about a month, and all the flavour and all the oils come out of the skin. Then basically you filter out all the solid bits and mix it with some sugar syrup. So it's a pretty simple formula. In my case, I don't use sugar syrup because me and sugar aren't the best of friends, but I use a substance called Splenda, which is a sort of a sweetener which is used for cooking.
Does that not screw it up?
No, the flavour is
taste?
really good. Splenda's pretty good. There's not too much of an aftertaste for Splenda. So it's not bad. And normally I make it to about 50% ABV, alcohol by volume. So it's like literally half of it's alcoholic.
So how do you cut that volume at the alcohol down? Is it pure, do you have a test equipment that you know what that alcohol levels drop to?
No, because I'm mixing in the sugar syrup or the Splenda syrup. I just do it at equal volumes, so it goes from 95%, and because I've got an equal volume of sugar syrup, then it's half the value. So it's high 40s, low 50s, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That makes sense. Oh, that's very cool.
As long as it's above 30, it won't freeze in the freezer. So that's another test you can do to make sure it's at least above 30. Stick it in the freezer, and if it still stays liquid, then it's still reasonably potent. But normally I have to cut it down when drinking it. So I'll make it at 50. But normally I have to cut it down to about 30 to make it family friendly. My wife can't drink it at 50. She wants it down at 30.
Add water.
Yeah, just add water.
Don't you find the older you get, the more you have a tolerance to drink straight alcohol? Seriously, I just find that, when I was younger, I would never have had a martini, for example, which is pretty much a straight gin, right, with a bit of vermouth.
Sure.
But nowadays, I don't mind sipping straight gin. I enjoy, sipping straight rum, as long as it's not Bundaberg, of course.
Yeah.
It's liquid paint remover.
Yeah, that's right. It's good. I was going to say it's good for stripping walls. That's right.
Yeah. But if it's a nice sipper, it can be very nice. And of course, vodka's always been okay straight. I mean, and of course, whiskey. And you're a whiskey connoisseur as well, right?
Yeah, I enjoy the odd whiskey. Yeah. Put a few drops of water in there sometimes just to remove the burn. But I can't drink the Polish Spirit, certainly 95%. That no one can drink that. But I can handle 50. I don't drink too much of it because if you're drinking half a shot glass, it's half pure alcohol. Then you got to be careful. Certainly, I think all of us in our youth, our eyes are bigger than our tolerance, and probably have a few misadventures. So I think you're right. I think as you get older, you learn what your limits are, and I think the body can probably take a little bit more when you get older.
So all those listening to our show, this is very important MVP conversation that we like to discuss.
Leon Tribe, alcoholic. This is there.
So anyhow, let's talk a bit about MVPDM, if that's such a thing. As in, you were famous for a period of time at smashing Salesforce numbers. But really, we don't seem to be really competing with Salesforce much these days anymore. The Power Platform's really moved the goalposts massively. What are you doing contribution-wise these days that keeps your hand in the game?
Yeah, well, so I'm still. I stopped writing the blog for a couple of months, but I've gone back into that. But it's I don't really do the financials of Salesforce as much as I used to. Because they're not that interesting anymore. You're right. They're from a competitor perspective. They're two different products now, right? Exactly as you say, we're moving to Microsoft's providing an ecosystem where they provide modules. So it's a very different game. So I'm working a lot more with Flow now, and the Power Platform. So I've been doing some interesting things, getting data out of Heroku of all things. So you can only get so far away from Salesforce because Heroku's a Salesforce platform. But so I wrote a blog a little while ago about getting data out of Heroku and putting that into Excel for reporting. I've got the automated tweet bot, which uses Flow and sort of scours for good Dynamics posts and then reposts them. So that's most of the focus is around there.
Why does Flow block the @ symbol?
For no good reason. You can get around it. I've been told. So apparently you can create Azure Functions to get around it, or there's another connector which also does social postings, which doesn't block it. But I've not found a good reason why it blocks the @ symbol. It's very frustrating.
It's bizarre. Like, was it done intentionally?
It's documented, so it's absolutely intentional. But it just
but
sense.
When I say intentional, what was the rationale behind the intention? It's definitely a known.
Yeah, I don't know if they've got an idea of some weird hack that someone could do to spam an account or something. I got no idea. It's bizarre. It's a strange little error. And I'm involved in a lot of the local meetup groups as well. So I get involved with those a little bit. So there's
Yeah. So how's the Sydney one going? It's been a long time since I attended a Sydney user group. How's it going?
The one out of KPMG, the Dynamics Communities one. I haven't been to that for a little while, but there's a few other ones. So there's a Power Platform one, which is run out of the Microsoft Reactor. So I've done a couple of presentations there, and I've attended that one. There's the Women's and Business Applications meetup.
You go to that regularly?
Yeah, I'll go to that every now and again. So I'll go to that one. But yeah, no, I haven't been to I must admit, I haven't been to the Dynamics Community one, the local one for a little while.
Yeah, I think that in a way there needs to be some pivoting happen pretty quickly. I just know that pretty much I'm doing very little in the Dynamics space these days, and it's all Power Platform related. And being that if you look at that history of the Power Platform from XRM, it's kind of what we're always doing. It just had this moniker called Dynamics 365 on it for so long. But when the stuff that my experiences with being the Power Platform pivoted, it was natural to go that way than stay in that app layer. So I don't know if the Dynamics 365 or D365 user group, the 6 of them across Australia perhaps need to pivot into more Power Platform centricness, being that at the end of the day, Dynamics is purely an app running on that platform now.
Yeah, I think it needs to expand because just as we've moved away from Salesforce, we've moved away from the idea of a sort of a product of modules. So a user group focusing on the ecosystem makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, let's see what happens when I move back down there. I might get my hand back in various things.
No, so if I can help, let me know.
Stir some shit up, maybe. I saw a comment about returning to New Zealand the other day that someone said that I don't know. I think there's a bit of uncertainty in the local community about me showing up. So let's see what happens. I love progress and not staying in the past. So let's see what happens. Anyhow, tell us about this new role that you've gone into. You're saying it's kind of flexing some new muscles for you. What are the biggest things that you've probably learned, and now you've gone into more of a management type function rather than being on the tools every day?
Yeah, I'm delivery director here in Australia for Australia and New Zealand, although we don't have a strong presence in New Zealand yet. It's that level above. So my role's been sort of split between sort of putting the teams together and sort of that whole skills management aspect. And I've done a little bit of that before in terms of people management. I've done that at KPMG and a few other places. But probably the place where it's been the most interesting from a new challenge perspective is managing the projects. So I've been a lot more involved in sort of the finances of the project, examining the costs, keeping budgets in check and things like this, which is a completely new territory for me. That whole sort of PM aspect is completely new. So that's been really, really interesting. So it's also been a lot more strategic. I've had a lot more input because we're a relatively new practice. It's been good to be able to sort of set a bit of the direction that national sort of practice is running. So years ago with my wife, I did an MBA, and so some of those skills, which are a bit dusty, are getting brushed off and applied as well, which is good. those 2x2 matrices and the rest of it that you learn in those MBAs. So it's good. It's sort of a complementary set of skills, a different sort of lens to look at Dynamics projects from, rather than being sort of at the sort of the engine room, sort of setting it up.
Yeah. So what's the market like from a recruitment perspective? I heard at the recent summit that was down there, community summit, that a lot of partners are saying there's not enough skills in the market, and what's been done about this? What's your perception on skills in the Aussie market at the moment?
Yeah, look, it's well recognised that there's a lot of demand and not a huge supply of consultants, specifically in F&O. So in my role, I should qualify that my role is not just sort of that CE side of business applications. I'm also in charge of F&O. So I've F&O projects and the rest of it. So part of my responsibility has been to ramp up the business, ramp up the team from an F&O perspective as well. And it's been tough. There's in terms of talent, it's quite limited out there. Microsoft's now recognised this, thankfully. So locally, they've teamed up with Manpower Australia, and are now basically. So as a partner, you can go to Microsoft and work with Manpower Australia to identify people that don't have Dynamics F&O skills, but are people that you'd want to employ if they had sort of baseline skills. So they might be former accountants, something like this. And then Manpower Australia put them through, I think it's a 6-week training program, and so then you pay a nominal fee to Manpower Australia for this. Then you get at the end of it, you get what's effectively a junior consultant from an F&O perspective, but they may have deep knowledge of accounting or financials, or in a specific vertical that you're looking to employ that person. So Microsoft are recognizing it, and they're trying to sort of bump up the local talent in the market, which is great, because it was getting where people were just sort of poaching off each other, and it wasn't ideal.
No, and I mean, I assume that's still going on. If there's space in the market, that'll be in play, right?
Yeah, there's still a little bit of that going on, and Microsoft's trying to just make it a friendly environment for all by these kinds of schemes.
6 weeks doesn't seem like enough in my mind. It seems a little on the low side.
So
I would have thought I thought it'd take more like 12 weeks to get to a junior consultant level of kind of full on training.
Yeah, I'm not totally aware of the program. I know you're involved in. So, have you set up some of the training programs? So I don't know if it's
no. I've had nothing to. No. This is what kind of surprises me. As in, one, Manpower. What do they know about our industry? That would be my first ding ding. But no, I don't know anything about it. Although I did have a Microsoft person in Oz that I was talking to yesterday ask me what training could I provide, as in around what areas. So I don't know if that was related to this or not, but like, you're the first person that has mentioned Manpower to me. I've never heard of them before.
There's been some press releases around.
I thought they were a recruitment company.
No, they are. Yeah. So Microsoft have partnered with Manpower, the recruitment company, to create this sort of identify talent in the market, and then Microsoft and them are providing this training program, so they come out of the other side as a sort of junior F&O consultant. So they are a recruitment company. That's exactly right. So
it's only focused on F&O, nothing on the Power Plat side.
From memory, it's F&O only, because that's where I've been talking to them anyway. Just from a recruitment side, so that's what I know about. But yeah, so I think it's mainly on that F&O side. And there's certainly a serious demand in the market for good F&O talent.
Tell me, what are the kind of top recommendations you make to prospective MVPs coming to you and saying, Leon, I want to become an MVP. I want to emulate what you've done. What do you kind of recommend to them as ways that they potentially could ultimately become MVPs?
It's a great time in the market to ask that question. And yeah, I'm sure you've been asked it. And recently I saw Gus Gonzalez do a post where he was talking about exactly this. That he was basically saying that. So Gus's perspective is to become an expert. You work at it, and it's a pretty simple perspective. Is that no one was an expert, no one's born an expert. But what's the great opportunity we have at the moment is the Dynamics platform has exploded, right? It's turned it's evolved into this ecosystem. So it used to be that as an MVP, this is sort of in the 2011 days, version 4 days, you'd know the modules, and every couple of years, every 3 years or something like this, they'd do a few updates, add a few features, and you'd learn those, and you'd still be the expert in the entire platform. That's completely changed now. So now it's an entire ecosystem where you've got your Power Platform, you've got the Dynamics modules, it's a whole area, and you've got the things like talent, you've got the AI stuff, the insight stuff, all sorts of areas where they're very new, right? The amount of innovation that Microsoft's putting out, it's so new, and no one can be across all of it. And there's areas which no one's across them in any significant way. So things like IoT has been out for a little while, but there's no one person that knows IoT intimately that's out there. Things like commerce, which is the new evolved version of retail that's coming out imminently. Again, there's a great opportunity here. So if someone is willing to commit a few hours a weekend, I don't think it needs to be that much, to one of these areas. I wrote a blog about it. So this is what I do instead of writing about Salesforce now. So in one of my recent blogs, I talked about how to become an expert in business applications, and I identify some of these areas, things like mixed reality, things like fraud protection, some of these lesser known modules out there, which Microsoft are bringing in, where it's really easy. If you grab hold of one of these, if you spend, let's say, half a day initially and write a blog about it, you're now the expert worldwide, because very few people have done that. Right? Very few. It's all fresh, right? It's waiting to be used. The thing which I've had a lot of fun with and done a few presentations on, the cognitive services. So it's very easy to send an image to the Azure Cognitive Services, or come back with tags saying this is what's in the image. You can feed it. So one of the presentations I do is I challenge the audience to tweet in any language they choose. I say just send me a tweet in any language you choose, #LeonTribe. And by the end of the presentation, I've translated that tweet. I've got the sentiment of that tweet. So if they've been cheeky, I can see if it's positive or negative. I've then fed it into Dynamics, and then if it's a positive tweet, then I've created a sales opportunity. If it's a less than positive one, then I've created a case out of it, all using Flow, all without any code. So these things are very accessible. And again, people aren't, if people have got ideas for business cases or business applications for these tools, then it's some great opportunities to make a name for yourself. Because Microsoft are providing these tools, but they're not being very prescriptive about how they can change business or how they fit together. So there's a lot of opportunity for people just to spend a few hours, and they can really make a dent. So if someone's looking to become the next fraud protection MVP, that position is well and truly open.
100%, right? And the beauty is that you can really slice out a global niche for yourself. Sorry, niche. I get used to speaking American a bit every now and again. For yourself, in these spaces, you've got, just to add to yours, you've got product insights, just landed, just announced. We've got customer insights, which are really, these two tools, my first look or preview of them, I've spent about a day on customer insights. That tool is off the Richter scale awesome. Very practical for business. Bring your data from anywhere, and you're right. It's waiting for somebody to pick it up and go, you know what? This spins my wheels. I'm going to invest time. I'm going to learn everything there is to know about it, and then I'm going to share everything there is to know that I learn. And get it out there. I love it.
Yeah, the AI Builder. So the AI Builder, where you can build your own, right? You can roll your own insights effectively. That AI Builder has just come out into general release. So you can throw any entity you wanted, any data you wanted it. You can do like a binary classification, so sort of like a spam and a ham type concept. Lots of possibilities there.
The binary classification is awesome. I think it's the best feature of the 4 kind of templates that they came out with. Binary class just spins my wheels. But before GA, and I haven't checked since, it only worked on out of the box entities. You couldn't bring your own entities. I don't know if that's changed.
I thought it was the opposite. So when I was trying to play with system entities in pre-release, I was trying to throw it at system ones and it wouldn't work. But with custom ones, it could work. Hopefully in GA they fix that. I haven't tested it since GA, but
I had Charles Lamanna on the live stream last week in Orlando, and he said they're releasing 8 more templates.
Wow. This is it, right? This is it. This is the rate of innovation and the rate of the number of no one's an expert in those 8, right? And they're all going to be, low code, no code. If someone wants to just grab hold of those and write some blogs, that's it. They're the world expert. It's really easy.
Mate, we're coming up on time. It's certainly flowing. Are you ready for some quick fire questions to wrap up with?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Before we do that, is there anything, any other salient advice you'd like to give to prospective MVPs out there?
Yeah, look, don't chase being an MVP for the sake of the accolade. It's got to be something that you're already passionate about the product, you enjoy the product, and it may be that you just need to hone your focus about one area of the product and that kind of thing to get that MVP award. But if you're chasing it for the sake of chasing it, that's the wrong way. People do that, and they're an MVP for 12 months and then they're out because they don't have that commitment. So yeah, that'd be my best advice. But yeah, I've been in the program now for 10 years and love it. Meeting people like yourself, Mark, going MVP Summit, meeting the product team, going to the Microsoft Mecca at Redmond, and walking in the building of Satya, etc. It's all good fun, right? So it's all good. So I've had nothing but a blast in the program. So I highly recommend it. But got to have that focus, definitely.
I like it. Okay, quick fire time. Here we go. Here's your deep question for you. When you die, what do you want to be remembered for?
So it's supposed to be quick fire, so I can't think too hard about it. Want to be remembered for raising 2 excellent children.
Awesome. I love it. Here's a random one for you. What was the last foreign country you visited?
Last foreign country I visited was probably, it was actually New Zealand.
Wow.
I went to North Island for Easter with my family, and went from Auckland down to Wellington, or vice versa. Which one's at the top? I've forgotten.
No, you got it right.
Cool.
What's the biggest purchase you've ever made?
Biggest purchase I've ever made is probably a car, because I rent. I don't own a house. So yeah, the car is the biggest purchase.
Would you rather always have gas or always have bad breath?
Bad breath.
Nice. If you could change one thing about the way you were raised, what would you change?
I'm pretty happy with the way I was raised, to be honest. Let's think of something. Better weather. That might have been nice. I grew up in England, so better weather would have been good.
I hear, mate. I can see blue out my window today, so not too bad here in London. Who was your first love, and when was it?
That's my wife. No, I met my wife in high school. She was my first love. So I pursued her from year 8th year in high school, and eventually it took me about 3 years. So at the end of year 11, we started dating, and then 10 years after that, we tied the knot.
Nice. Very good, man.
I have to say, she's sitting literally across from me, so I'm scoring lots of brownie points.
Yeah. So I don't know if I got the truthful answer.
You absolutely got the truthful answer. You absolutely did.
Awesome, man. Listen, if people want to connect with you online, where's the best place they can find you?
It's probably LinkedIn. My name's sufficiently unique that I think there's only one Leon Tribe on LinkedIn. So go to LinkedIn, connect with me. You can message me there. You can also send me an email, leon.tribe@gmail.com. But that gets pretty full. So I'd say go to LinkedIn. But if you're not on LinkedIn, leon.tribe@gmail.com will get to me eventually.
Hey, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Leon. It was great, getting into insights to his life and his recommendations in the MVP program. If you want to get mentored or coaching, feel free to go to my website. I do mentoring. I do a free 90-day mentoring challenge once a year. The intake is, I'm going to announce it shortly, but it'll be about mid-January. We're going to start actually that course. So I'll be looking between now and January at getting people that want to be on that program to sign up. So if you're interested in that, go to nz365guide.com/90-day MC, standing for Mentoring Challenge. So 90-day Mentoring Challenge. Altogether there, you should be able to reach that. Otherwise, just go to the website and in the navigation you can see a link to mentoring. For show notes for this episode, visit nz365guide.com/151. See you next week.